everyone. Welcome back to the Sports Medicine Podcast. I am here with my co-host, Hayley Karpik. Hayley, how are you doing?
I'm living the dream.
How's this week been?
It's been crazy, honestly. Life in big pharma. I sound like such a baby. It's so hard.
Same.
It's been busy. Yeah. Never a dull moment. I mean,
it's so weird that I feel like every year I put another year into big pharma. I'm like, this
another
summer
notch on the
chill.
bedpost, basically. Yeah,
right.
Literally.
This summer will be chill. The end of the year will be chill.
No.
And it's not. It never is. It's just constantly.
I'm feeling that. I'm starting to feel that sprint to the end of the year. You know, where things like all of a sudden there's odd pressure from X, Y, and Z to get all this stuff taken care of and review reports and reviews. And even though it's like barely November, I feel like it's in my mind, it's January 2024 at this point. So I've moved on.
So here's some escapism for our intro question this week.
Ooh.
And I think that's why I came up with it.
Yeah.
So you're, before you log on for work tomorrow, let's say someone, rings your doorbell, gives you $1 million. You can't save any of it for yourself. You got to burn through it. What are you spending that?
How long do I have to spend it?
I would say,
like, do I have a month?
Let's say like 2-3 months, I think.
Oh, okay. I've got some good time.
You got some time. Yeah.
I think what I would do is, remember that show Sweet Life on Deck when they were on a cruise ship around the world? I would do that. And I would take you can come with me. I would take some people with me. We'd do I'd split the $1 million with a few people and we'd go on a booze cruise around the world. And
that's a unique idea.
Yeah, because I feel like you'd burn through it and it would be fun. You'd get to see a lot of countries and it would fulfill a lifelong dream of being Zach and or Cody for me personally. So I'd love it.
Yeah, you have the hair to match.
Yeah, I'm Cody. Triplet. Yeah, I could have been their third.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. You can come with me. You're more than welcome to join on this cruise.
I was going to say, I would hope
we could record the pod.
A co-host, I would get an invite.
Yeah, we could do pod around the world. Okay. I think it's brilliant.
And you think between the group of people, you'd be able to spend $1 million?
Yeah, I think you could get a big enough, all inclusive, and we'd go all out. Every port, we'd be doing something crazy, like the most extravagant experience. So,
okay.
And we'd go to all as many countries as possible. We would really maximize that around the world, and we would truly go around the world.
Okay.
So I think we get to $1 million. I have no frame of reference in terms of how much something like that would cost, but I have a feeling we could make $1 million. I could make $1 million. I could burn $1 million through that.
Yeah,
process.
We can, or stretch it. I don't know how much gas costs for a boat or whatever.
Yeah. And I want a big boat and not something tiny. We're going around the world. I'm trying not to die, but if I did, wouldn't have to go back to work.
Okay. Yeah. No, that was whimsical. When I was thinking of this question, I was a lot more practical.
Are you buying 10 Ferraris?
No, that wouldn't be very practical. I was thinking I would buy. I'd crush my garage, bring it forward, and put a nice addition on the back of my house and an in-ground pool so as to raise the property value of my house, double dipping a bit. And then I would...
You think a pool in Illinois would do that?
You can use it for 5 months out of the year. Remember, Hayley, global warming. Okay, it's gonna become easier.
You're banking on no more snow in May/October in the great state of Illinois.
In a few years. Yeah. What? Give me some statistics that's not going to happen. Eventually.
Chicagoland will be tropical at that point. So you're right. Brilliant. I like it.
No, and then if the Bears come here, I'm set. That's an Airbnb.
Yeah, while you're sailing around the world with me.
Exactly.
Okay, I like it. So you're putting an addition on your house,
Yep.
pool.
In-ground pool. And then I think, like,
No,
I
I
don't
think you
think
should do
that
an above ground pool. Keep it
quite
classy.
I don't think that quite adds up to the
No.
million yet. So
No.
I think I would also solidify myself as the favorite child. And I would pay off my parents' house as well as pay for my youngest brother's college. I think that would solidify like
You think that would
every
tip the scale?
every holiday now. If I say like can't be there for Christmas, I'm spending Christmas with Brian in Paris, and they're like, "Ah, bummer, like you're not going to be with us at the holiday." But I'll be like, "Remember,
You're right. You can play that card, and that card doesn't go away. So
no, it's a lifer."
you're right. I think in your scenario with your mother, who I'm gonna guess she's not listening to the podcast, but you could use that.
No, she's
Sorry,
listening like
Lynn.
every episode.
Oh.
She's listening. We'll cut it.
No. We keep it in. Keep it in. She would appreciate that you were on that after you put an addition on your house, you're going to pay off her house and pay for
Yep,
Will's
yep,
college. You're a
yep.
giver.
That's what I'm thinking. And then I feel like that's close to the mill.
Yeah.
I think
I feel
anything I'd have left over, maybe I'd buy like a new car or something. But yeah, I was more practical. I almost like your idea better.
Yeah, I was really thinking absolutely torch this money with an experience. Like yours has
Yeah,
some permanence to it. Like that addition you can use. You can go swimming in that indoor pool. Can you put a water slide on that indoor pool for me?
I can. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll trade you. I'll put the slide on and then
Okay.
you invite me on the cruise.
That seems like a really fair trade.
It does.
Yeah.
It's kind of like when we were in college and I'd have you help me with my homework.
And you'd make me a drink. That was like, and you didn't even make it. Your roommate would make it, or the
No.
Morgans would make it.
Yeah, exactly.
I'd have like a
Uh,
pina colada while doing Calc 16010. It was lovely.
good
Good times, good
times,
times,
good
good
times.
times. Take
All
me
right.
back.
So we're listening to the listeners and they so far like the casual chit
Yeah,
chat, you know?
the
They're
banter.
they're into the banter, so we're gonna keep that going. And today we're
We're
gonna just talk about weirdest sports traditions that you
yeah.
and I've either found on the internet or experienced firsthand.
Ooh. Yeah. Yeah. That's a
So
we've done
I
some
think
research.
I'm gonna
This is an enlightening pot. Like you'll learn it's some good banter, but you may learn a few things. Pointless
exactly.
knowledge, but you'll learn a few things.
Could be useful on like a Jeopardy
Yeah. Trivia
potpourri.
night at your
Yeah,
local pub. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. So I think I'll start us off
Okay.
with the tradition of men not shaving during playoffs. And
Okay. Yeah.
I think it started in the MLB, but it
Yeah.
has now expanded definitely into the NHL. I feel like some people do that for the NBA, which is a little weird.
Mhm.
And I find it odd.
And well,
And
yeah.
I will say in most cases, I'm not for it.
Yeah, and I also feel like there you run into the hair shaving superstition too. Like just throwing out an example, Bryce Harper this past year, he was in like a bad like he's got a full beard, like
Mhm.
big old beard, and he went through this like slump where he really wasn't hitting well in like maybe August, and he shaved it all off because he was like, well, I haven't been hitting well with this beard, so I'm gonna get rid of it. And like he walks out one day with like baby face, and everybody's like, what happened? And that cured him or whatever.
Yeah, it's
Whatever.
just I
It would
mean,
be
I think
uncomfortable. That's my thing. It would get in my way. Like if I'm used to playing with short, if I was a guy and I was used to playing with no or minimal facial hair, and then all of a sudden it's game 6 and I have a gigantic beard, I think it would throw me off and it'd be itchy.
so that's my point is in any contextual like I just don't see where a beard is helpful in any sport.
Yeah.
Like you just said, like you're just sweating and you're like upping how uncomfortable you are. But hey, our male
Now
listeners, write in and
Comment
flame
below.
me with that. Let me
Now,
know
are
how
you a
wrong I am.
superstitious person? Because I think it really just
I
goes
would
back to superstition.
say so. Tech Technically, that's a gray area for
You're
Catholics. I
what?
feel like.
What did Michael Scott say? I'm not superstitious. I'm just a little stitious.
Yeah, like
You're right. You're like praying.
yeah.
Yeah, which I feel like those two really could fall in the same bucket. Like you praying plus a guy not shaving his beard for the playoffs or whatever.
Some people could find a similarity in that.
Some could.
I would say, but here's the thing, I stopped praying for myself in sports after high school because, there's this really funny skit no, there's this hilarious skit, and people, like, kind of, like, mimic it all the time. I forget which stand-up comedian did it first, but, like, he was going through and he was like, "Can you imagine, like, God's going through a list of, like, issues, and he's like, war, orphans, hunger, and then he gets to me and it's like, "Dear Lord, please let me hit a triple double in this non-conference match on the junior varsity basketball team." And he's looking at me like I have other things going
He's like,
on.
Maddie, I'm a little busy up here.
Right? So, yeah, I
S-
personally don't pray for myself to do well in physical activities, but maybe that could also explain why my mile time is so low. I don't know.
Yeah, get to praying on that, and you'll be down to 6 minutes in no time. But okay, now expanding on superstitions, are you say you're watching the Bulls in the playoffs? I'm just
Okay.
theorizing a
No,
very
no,
is that possible this
that's
year? Could that actually happen?
not possible, but I see what you're like, would I
Like,
become
are you
superstitious
like
if
like
something like that happened?
like
Probably.
you're watching them and you sit on the left side of the couch and they win, and the next game you sit on the left side of the couch just to you're like, "Well, let's sit in the same," like, would that be something you'd be superstitious about? Maybe
I
not
would say
heavily, yeah, but, like
absolutely.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, so maybe that's what the beard is for the guys. Maybe we
yeah.
just talked
It's
ourselves through
it's
that.
sitting on the left side of the couch every time they or it's like,
If it
even,
isn't
like,
broke, don't fix it.
don't fix it. And like going back to baseball players, like when they do their walk up and they do their little they step in the batting box the same way, or in between swings they do the same thing. Like, you know, maybe it's just and it's a comfort thing. So maybe we give it to
Yeah.
these men not shaving.
Okay.
Respects. I wouldn't do it if I had facial
You
hair.
talked
I'd
me
be,
into it.
but you know what? If I had facial hair, I'd be like, well, I can't grow out a beard for the playoffs because I got to keep it the way it's been all season. There's a lot of thought behind this, but it's all based in superstition. That is a
Mhm.
weird sports tradition, though. You do see it, like, the men get hairier as the season
Yeah.
progresses. Yeah. Yeah. It's a good one. Good one. You wanna
Alright,
hear
you're
mine?
next. Yeah,
Y
what do you got?
Okay, mine, and I'm curious if you've ever heard of this. I had never heard of it until last week. I was, at a wedding with my family, and they were all talking. My dad was talking about he grew up in Detroit, and they were talking about going to Red Wings games, and they stumbled upon the tradition of the Detroit Red Wings. They do the octopus throw, where they throw an octopus on the ice during
Like
the
a
game.
live one?
I think they're dead, but they throw an octopus on the
When you
ice.
say "they," do you mean, like, fans?
Fans, people. Yeah. So I'll go
So
into the
you're bringing that biologic material to the game with you in,
yeah,
like, a
now
bag?
yeah, I'm not sure how in the modern day you'd get that through because what do you put it in a clear bag? Like that clear bag policy,
Yeah,
and you're
yeah,
like, here's my
my
octopus
my clear fanny pack has my cell phone, my credit card, my ID, and
and an
just
octopus.
octopi?
Yeah. So I'll kind of go into the tradition a little bit. So it started back in
Please
1952.
do.
Yeah, it started back in
I'm
1952. During the third game of the final series of the Stanley Cup against the Montreal Canadiens. And this guy named Pete Cusimano, he owned the East Side Fish Market in Detroit. And he celebrated the first goal of the Red Wings by throwing an octopus on the ice. And as you know, an octopus has 8 arms, tentacles, whatever you want to call it. So
sure,
he threw
sure.
that to symbolize that in the Stanley Cup in forgive my hockey knowledge, but I don't know if they still do it this way, but in the Stanley Cup, you would play 2 back-to-back series, 2 back-to-back 7-game series. So it took you 8 games to win the Stanley Cup. And maybe I need to do some research after and see how they play it now. But so it was 8 games,
I
just
believe
one
it's just a
series, right?
7-game series. Yeah,
Yes. So
first to
so
4, I
back
believe.
yeah, so back in the day they used to do 2 7-game series. So they had 8 games to win the Stanley Cup, 8 arms of an octopus. So they would throw it to symbolize the 8 games you would need to win the Stanley Cup. So
Interesting. That was a bit of a stretch, but I understand
yeah,
it.
but yeah, like who thought of that? Like how'd you get there? 8 octopus? I don't know. But the Wings ended up winning the game. Cusimano was a hero after he threw the octopus on the ice. So the Red Wings have kind of adopted this as their tradition. They have an unofficial mascot, Al the octopus. And yeah, they do it in Detroit when there's 8 games left to win. I think they've done it at other circumstances too, where 8 is like an important number, or X, Y, and Z. In Detroit, it's also expanded beyond hockey. They've done it at a baseball game at Tiger Stadium where they threw octopus on the on the field. But yeah, so for 4 decades, like the octopus in this tradition was purchased at the same place, at Superior Fish in Royal Oak, Michigan, which is a suburb of Detroit. So, and they have since closed, but there was like a place you would go. And I don't know if there was like a certain person designated to throw the octopus, but yeah, they would do it. And there's like, you can look up pictures of it, but they truly throw an octopus from a fish market onto the ice. Yeah. And I'm guessing somebody goes and picks it up and does something with it, but isn't that a weird? Yeah, my dad and my aunt were talking about Red Wings games, and we were going into that, and I was like, that is the weird. I had never heard of it, and it's very weird. It's a great Google search. Detroit Red Wings octopus. It's pretty funny. Very odd.
Yeah, that is I'd be shocked if that still happens now, just because I feel like
I think
there's
it
no
has
way.
happened. I'm looking it up.
Yeah, like, please let me know, because I would be. I mean, I
I
guess,
wonder if
like,
somebody in
it's
the
not like
organization is,
it's getting through a metal detector, so that.
or if somebody in the organization is in on it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like, they're handing them out to, like, throw out, like. If you're the first 2,500 fans into
You
the
get a
Detroit
you get
Red
a free
Wings
octopus.
stadium, you get a free owl
I,
that you can whip out onto the ice
I'm gonna
at intermission.
I'm gonna text you this picture just so you can like look at it. It's pretty absurd.
Please
But
do.
yeah,
I
are
got
you
the
on your
phone.
phone? Okay, I'm
Yeah, I
texting
got
it
it
to you
right
right
here.
now.
Please, yeah.
It's just really funny, to be honest. And so then I'll send you a picture of Al.
They're on the ice. They're
Yeah,
on the
and
ice.
it's not a small. You know how you've seen like at the
They're on
zoo
the
those,
rocks.
those
Yeah, no, they're not
octopus.
tiny.
Yeah, like they're like a big octopus. And here's Al, their unofficial
That's an
mascot.
entire
Like that's
order
a
of
big.
calamari.
Oh, more than that. That's an order of calamari for 20. It's like a big it's not like a teeny little octopus. You know, you've seen those octopus that you can hold in your hands. This is like an octopus. And then there's Al,
No,
the other
yeah.
octopus.
And then
Yeah. Weird sports traditions. Tell me that's not. Let me send you a picture of a guy throwing one. Also, PETA is very opposed to this.
well,
As you could think. It's a dead octopus. And look, yeah, like this octopus is like the man's holding it, and the tentacles are as long as his arm. Like it's a big octopus. I just sent it.
Oh!
Yeah. It's just Detroit things. Yeah.
Wow.
Big old octopus. Yeah.
Dude, that's I mean, the stadium was probably smelling like a fish market.
Yeah, I'd have to think that somebody in the organization is like in on it, but they're like, all right, but also the Red Wings. When was the last time the Red Wings were in the Stanley Cup? I don't.
Good point.
But I think they've thrown them at other times, so I don't think it's just limited to Yeah, but that's how I got
Stanley
started.
Cups now.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's how I got started. Pretty crazy.
That is pretty crazy. Well,
Yeah.
I think that'll probably stand as number one weirdest sports tradition. But for the next one that I want to talk about, I'm going to throw it back to college and make it a little personal for us.
Oh.
And I know each Big Ten school has a thing. But looking back now as a 27-year-old adult, the idea of a breakfast club is hysterical.
Yeah.
Like, there
Explain explain
is
explain the Breakfast Club to our
Sure,
non-Boilermaker listeners.
sure. So, when a Purdue football team is playing at home, we have a breakfast club, which is where our bars open exceptionally early. I
Like
believe
4?
4? Yeah,
Yeah,
that's what I was
I
gonna
think
say,
4.
so 4 AM. So a lot of times people will go out Friday night and just continue into the morning, you know? So an
Keep
a
on keeping on.
normally a darty becomes a nighttime party. In this case, reverse flip it,
Yeah.
Night becomes day. And I Haley, you're from the area, so you might have more history on this,
Yeah,
but
I have
my
a couple good high
understanding
school I have a couple good random high school breakfast club moments, but yeah, go on.
my understanding is that because we are not recently, that we're not really known for being a football school, and at least I can say this is how I treated it personally, is that I would prefer to do breakfast club and then fall asleep
Yeah, and
back
then
at
you
my sorority or my apartment around game time, and then you would sleep through the football
or
game
you'd
that was
wake up in the
likely
4th
going to
quarter.
be
Yeah.
disappointing. Yeah,
Likely,
yeah,
definitely going to be disappointing. Yeah.
right. And with that breakfast club, I'll just add in a couple fun little caveats. One, you would carry around this large mug. I'd say similar in volume to like
Yeah, it's like a
Gatorade water
leader.
bottle. Yeah. You'd carry around these plastic mugs and you would fill them with alcohol and you would just drink them at whatever bar you were at. It was an insane amount of alcohol in the middle of nowhere. And then you would also, and this is probably the most fun part, you would try to find a nonsensical, some might even say ugly, costume. And you would dress up in weird costumes and just walk around the middle of West Lafayette, Indiana, 4 in the morning, dressed as something odd, drinking out of a 1-liter plastic cup.
Yep. Drinking vodka that came in a plastic bottle
Yeah, you took it from one plastic bottle and moved it
to
to another
another.
plastic
Yeah.
bottle.
The biggest thing is the costumes. Like, you don't just show up to Breakfast Club, like, wearing normal attire. You have to be dressed in a costume. And I would like to ask you, what was your best Breakfast Club costume? And I'm currently thinking about the times where I picked you up from Breakfast Club because there were a lot.
I know. So I'm trying to pick
I'm trying to
what
remember
my
some of yours.
best one would be. I know one time for one of the first ones, and I don't even think you picked me up because I specifically remember I was walking back up the hill
I was gonna say you
from
walked home.
Cactus and I like fell and skinned my knee open, but I
Yeah.
literally went as like the Charlie Brown ghost. So I stuck a bed sheet with 2 cutout holes over myself and wore a fanny pack underneath so I could like get to my like credit card and ID and just walked around. And I actually got a ton of compliments. People were like, that is the most Breakfast Club costume I've ever seen in my entire life because you're gonna go home and you're gonna use that sheet as a blanket and pass out on the floor. And
Yep.
that's
And that's
probably
exactly
what
what you
happened.
did.
That's probably what happened. Yeah.
I'm looking through your Instagram right now, and I would have expected you to have a
More
Breakfast Club
Breakfast Club
photo, but you don't.
photos.
I'm in your prom photo, so I've gone too far. But yeah, I don't know why I thought you'd have a Breakfast Club picture, but,
I'm trying to
yeah. I'm trying
remember
to remember. I'm looking at your Instagram right now.
what
You have a
else.
whole section of your reels dedicated to Taylor Swift. LOL.
I do. I do.
I really do wish you had a breakfast. You did have some good Breakfast Club costumes because yours were always, you're right, funny yet practical and comfortable. That was the biggest thing for me on Breakfast Club was comfort because you're up there at
Totally.
4 a.m. and then you're waiting in line for like a couple hours to get in because so many people are going. And I think you also made a good point about football. Like our first 2 years at Purdue, football was horrible, and all their games were at noon. It's because they were so bad that nobody wanted to watch them play. So we would, yeah, it was honestly perfect because you would go from, you'd breakfast club, you'd go home, you'd take a nap, you'd wake up to the fourth quarter of Purdue Ohio State, and it would be 59-7, and you'd be like,
Yep.
I'm
A
ready to
lot
drink
to a
again.
little. A lot to a little.
Yeah. And yeah, like Breakfast Club it's a way of life. And I'll give a shout out to somebody who I think is listening. If not, I'm going to text her and make her listen. Megan Tandrich. For her perfect record, she like this is her greatest accomplishment at Purdue. She has a degree in mechanical engineering, but I think she's more proud that our senior year, she did not miss a single Breakfast Club. Every single Breakfast Club she attended, and she wore a different costume for everyone. Shout out to Megan Tandrich on this.
Tennis clap. Way to go,
Yes.
Tandy.
And a
You
great
did
tennis
it.
clap because one of her costumes was a tennis player.
I remember her.
So,
Yeah, her in
yeah.
purple.
Yes, they were tennis players. So it really is a tradition unlike any other. But when I was in high school, I just remember we would go for runs on Saturday morning. And I grew up right by Purdue, but I didn't really know the intricacies of what was going on. And I just remember running past Purdue and seeing all these people dressed up in costumes. And I'm like 15. I'm like, what are they up to? And they're like stumbling around. And I was just trying to get fit, and they were out there having a good time. Little did I know, give it a few years and that would be me. But truly a tradition unlike any other. I do love Breakfast Club.
Yeah.
A hoot and a holler.
I kind of miss it.
Yeah, because you'd Breakfast Club, you'd go to this bar, Breakfast Club, and then you'd go up the hill right past a McDonald's. You'd stop at McDonald's, get yourself a little chicken nuggets, maybe a Sprite if you needed some hydration, and yeah, have yourself a great rest of the day. Yeah, exactly. Because if you didn't bring a shooter or two, you were doing it wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Thank you.
Yeah, legendary Purdue tradition. I like how you're doing like personal ones, and I'm doing more research ones. But that's
that
good.
Works.
Yeah. My next one I just think is funny. It's kind of short because I don't really know all that much about it. My next one is Texas A&M's Midnight Yell. Have you seen that?
So
it's so
funny.
Cringy. Horrible.
I just saw I deleted it now because I'm on I feel like every other month I'm like, I have TikTok, then I delete it, then I have it, then I delete it.
The vicious
cycle. It came up on the algorithm last time I had it downloaded, so last month.
Yeah.
Ish. And like people were giving their takes on it basically.
Yeah. It's like the weirdest. So like what they do at Texas A&M, like Friday night before football games, a bunch of fans pile into their stadium, and like certain people, I don't know who exactly leads it, but it's like a roast of the other team the night before the game, done by like these college student leader, whatever fan. I don't even know. I should have looked into who leads it, but it is the cringiest thing I've ever. It's like, again, it's like so weird and cringy, but they just like roast the other team basically. And their fans get like really fired up, but the roast is always just painful. They're
subpar.
Like the one I was listening, it was like they were playing Appalachian State, and they were like, Appalachian isn't even a state. Like that's how horrible. And the crowd went nuts. I was like, this is not funny, people. Like you need a real roast master.
They definitely pre-aimed that. But I agree with you. They should like wait until someone from there like becomes a stand-up comedian or something.
Yeah, and bring them back.
And then just
or maybe work, or maybe they need to like again get tap into the stand-up comedy club at Texas A&M and get in a writing room, get some jokes flowing. Because I recommend if you want some cringe content, go just YouTube Midnight Yell at Texas A&M. It's the weirdest thing ever. Weird place, weird roast. But I thought it was a good weird tradition because they're like really into it and they get super excited at these midnight yells.
It does give me an idea though. We could,
or should we do a roast?
Yeah, I was gonna say we could roast this podcast.
Yeah, well, that would be our longest episode.
Welcome aboard.
Welcome aboard the roast. It'd be a great roast. You and I would work out. We would workshop some incredible jokes. We could roast each other.
That could be good for 1,000 listeners or something.
Okay, 1,000 listeners. We roast each other.
We do a roast. Okay,
we do a roast. Okay,
maybe
I like
it has
that.
to be athletic themed.
For sure. Yeah, or at least podcast
stick into yeah, podcasting.
related. Yeah. I've got so much
Okay,
content on you already. I've got you on Strava, so I've got athletic content galore. But
fair.
yeah. I mean, you
That's
watched
fair.
me when I had, like, 2 walking boots after I fell down a hill, so I think we've both got materials for each other, so
Yeah, 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 yeah. It's just a different type of theme. Like,
yeah.
like you are still athletic,
You're an athlete.
which is funny in its own way. And
Yeah.
I've officially entered that part of my life where it's like for those who can't play, they teach or they podcast.
Or a podcast. You're still an athlete, don't worry. Don't worry, it never goes away. But yeah, we could take a page from the Texas A&M Midnight Yell and roast each other. But yeah,
Okay.
if you
I
really
like
need
it.
some cringe content, go watch that. It's pain. I couldn't even make it through one of them. I was like, this is horrible. But yeah, funny. Funny haha.
I like it. I think so. What are we doing? All right, yeah, we're okay on time. I'm gonna have
Yeah,
us each do one more, and then we'll do an ad
perfect.
read.
Yeah.
Um, my last one also a bit personal, but extends now out to NBA and to college hoops as well, and it's interesting to watch. And it's the announcer curse, basically, or like the media curse. So most obvious, like in the NBA, like a guy'll step up to a free throw line and the announcer will be like, "Hasn't missed tonight," and then he immediately misses.
Yeah.
And I don't it would happen in high school all the time too, where, like, you'd come in off the bench or something like that, or, like, you'd come in off the bench and you were, like, in foul trouble or something, and the announcer would be like, "Oh, like, Eddie's gotta play careful, she has 3 fouls," and then I'd immediately get the 4th foul. I was
Yeah.
like, "Can you just keep that information to yourself?" Like, my
They
goodness.
speak it into existence
They
basically.
do. They
Yeah.
literally do. I think there's a ton of athletes out there that would agree with me. And it's interesting to me that in basketball, like they ignore that kind of like the announcers still kind of just say whatever they want whenever they want and they don't
Yeah.
really care if it impacts or at least gives off the impression that it impacts athletes. But I find it very interesting that in like baseball, you never hear an announcer talk about a pitcher throwing a shutout or a no-hitter, ever.
No, but you'll hear them talk about, "Oh, he's 0 for 12 against this,
Yeah,
against this
yeah,
pitcher." Yeah.
they'll
But you're
say it
right.
statistically, like, they'll be like,
Yeah.
"He's clear through" like, once the inning ends, they'll be like, "Alright, he's
He's
clear through
clear
this
through
many
6. Yeah.
innings," or
Yeah.
that
You're right.
he's got a no-hitter going into the 7th or something, but
Yeah.
never during the inning while they are pitching is this guy being like,
Wow, he
"I
could
wonder
have
if
a
they're gonna
no-hitter.
mess it up right
Yeah.
here."
Yeah, you're right. Because I was the Phillies had a no-hitter this year, and I was listening to the broadcast on the radio, and they would just dance around. Because this guy, he was
They do,
looking
they dance
they
around it, but
dance
they
around,
never say it.
they're like, "And he's through 6. Wow, okay. Are they gonna keep him in? Such a good question." Like, they won't be like, "Well, nobody's hit the ball off him tonight." But, like, it's just funny. They do skirt around it because they feel that, like, we'll speak it into existence. It is kind of funny. But you're right, in basketball, like, they will absolutely flame they'll be like, "This guy on the free throw line, he shoots 93%. He hasn't missed a free throw in 7 weeks, and he was a lot of pressure at the line tonight," And then all of a sudden you'll go 0
And
for
he
2.
just misses it, yeah.
Yeah,
So I feel like
yeah.
that's really tough, and then same with, I honestly, like, think it's like I think, like, a kicker in football is like a golfer, like, but, like, millions of people are watching you do that, like, putt,
Yeah,
and you
yeah,
have to make it, like,
yeah.
obviously, like, the field goal is a lot bigger, like,
Yes,
but
but
like,
golf is
the
also
terms of
yeah,
pressure
yeah.
that they put on kickers is just incredible, and the same thing, like, they are perfectly okay, like, as this guy's getting up to kick, they're like, "Well, he's 82% on the year, and
Yeah,
this is a manage he's kicked farther
yeah.
before, but the game's tied, and if they
He
lose, they don't go to the playoffs, so hopefully he doesn't, hopefully he's not thinking about any of that as I'm announcing this over the loudspeaker."
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yeah, that is a good one. Yeah. Yeah, they'll
That's
be
one of
like
my
they'll be like,
favorites.
"He's kicked further with his opposite foot blindfolded." but today could be a tough one. Like, it's crazy. Sometimes and especially if they're on your team, it's like absolutely grinds your gears when you're listening to it. You're like, "Can you just shut up right now?"
Yeah,
Like,
for
you
2
need to
seconds.
zip it. Zip it. Yeah.
That's one of my favorite, I don't even know if you'd call it, I guess you would call it a tradition though, because I can picture this happening since the time I understood what sports were, and I'm
Yeah,
27
and I
now,
feel like if you
so
asked a broadcaster, they'd be like, "Oh, yeah." They'd be like, "It's
yeah.
the thing." Yeah.
Is that a
Yeah.
thing in broadcasting school? Like
They
grinding the
take
gears
a
of
class
other
called How to Be
athletes?
Annoying. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Well, my last one, if you're done with yours, I'll pivot. This one's
Pivot
funny.
away.
Another a research one that I found and an Indiana connection. You know Taylor University? It's in Upland, Indiana. It's like northeast Indiana. It's a small
Up
and I
Upland
Upland.
has a great brewery.
Yeah, I think that's a different one. That's in Bloomington. But
Oh.
Upland is great. I do love Upland. Their food's quite good too.
Okay.
If you're ever in Bloomington, would recommend a trip to Upland Brewing.
Okay.
Not sponsored, but Upland Brewing, if you're listening, send me a case.
Please sponsor us.
Yeah, sponsor us. Yeah, so Taylor University, it's like an NAIA school. So it's what they do this on like a Friday, the last Friday of the fall semester.
The
Always have a
Silent Night.
yes, the Silent Night.
I'm so glad you're talking about this.
Have you experienced the Silent Night? Or have you
No,
heard
but I
about it?
wish yes, I've heard about it. I've heard about it.
Yeah.
I had a friend from my, well, not really a friend, an acquaintance from
Okay.
junior high that I knew that went there. So
Yeah.
I've heard, please explain this to
The
everyone, and
Silent Night.
I'm going to sit here
This one's
and
pretty
enjoy.
excited, yeah. So yeah, Taylor University, it's an NAIA school, the last Friday of the fall semester. So Silent Night should be creeping up on us here soon.
We should go.
Oh, let's go. All right. I'm flying back to Indiana. Let's go to Silent Night. I want to say a ticket for that would be hard to get.
I would agree.
Yeah. So it's like students, faculty, staff, alumni, they all assemble in the gym to go to the basketball game. Again, it's NAIA, so it's NAIA, it is what it is. It's kind of like it was started as this like let off steam before finals and cheer on the basketball team tradition. Started in the early 90s, and students would show up dressed in like PJs, and now it's kind of evolved. They like come in costume, like various kind of Breakfast Club-esque weird costumes. And the place is packed. Like if you again Google image like Silent Night Taylor University and see that it's an absolutely packed gymnasium. And as the warm-ups finish, the arena goes silent, like dead silent. And they don't make noise until Taylor scores their 10th point. And then you just see the place erupts. And like they truly are like again, you got to watch a video. Totally recommend our listeners to pull
It's
up
like the
YouTube.
Harlem Shake.
It's like the Harlem Shake. You're right. Like it's just all of a sudden in the places like silent library absolutely could drop.
No, like
hear a pin drop.
they'll kick you out.
Yeah,
If
like they take it very
everyone
seriously.
takes it extremely seriously,
Yes,
which
yeah.
makes it that much better.
Yeah. So it's like dead silent until the 10th point. And then, yeah, the place goes nuts. And like they always interview the guy who scored the 10th point. And they're like, how was it? But I was reading an article and you see people like, there was somebody from ESPN who was talking about it and they commented, they're like, it's an electric event. They're like, this is like people who have seen like crazy, amazing sports events, like comment on the Silent Night. Like it's up on par with like, seeing the game-winning basket of the NCAA tournament. Like people are like, it is absolutely electric. They buy into it and the place goes absolutely bananas when they hit the 10th point. So it's a good YouTube. I watched it and like it honestly, one, it gave me chills and it was like a good smile on my face. I was like, man, this is a good tradition at a tiny school in Indiana. And yeah, they go absolutely crazy. And yeah, again, the quote that I have written down is it's one of the most electric things you've ever seen. And it was by like this ESPN analyst, again, somebody who's seen some crazy stuff. But Silent Night, I had never heard of it until I looked it up. But I do know somebody who went there, so I'll have to ask them if they participated in Silent Night. Yeah. Yeah. I wonder what the Taylor's gym capacity is. Taylor University gym capacity. Or how many students go to Taylor? 4,400. Wow. Quite small. And then let's see, Taylor University
There are high
students.
schools that fit that amount of
Yeah, I
people.
was gonna say that's like a high school. And the thing about a high school size, they have about 1,800 undergraduate students. So, but they fill it like, and it's packed, and
Oh, I'm sure.
like alumni come back. Everybody goes to Upland, Indiana for the silent night. I'll have to look it up. And there's like a Twitter account for it. Like, and there's like a student leader who is in charge of the silent night. Like, it's a big deal. Big deal.
That was a
Pretty.
perfect one to end on.
Yeah. Put it on our bucket list.
Yep, it's going on the bucket list. That'll be added to the podcast bucket list, right underneath the invite to the ESPYs.
Yeah, right
Invite to
underneath.
ESPYs, number 1. Invite to Silent Night.
Night 2.
Number
A very
2.
close second. Yeah.
Very close. Very close. Equally electric. Okay,
Yeah.
well, that wraps this episode up. That was a fun one. Again, if you're listening, please write us in a sports tradition that you have. Maybe we'll give it a shout out next week. Who knows? And then while you're writing us in, don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe to the Sports Medicine Podcast wherever you listen. And I've been Maddie Portland.
Hayley Karpik.
This
Bye-bye.
has been your weekly dose of the Sports Medicine Podcast. Cheers.
See ya.